Oh, a couple of quirky things maybe. The other weird thing from my past that I'm always quite proud of is Dan Carter, of course, is Southbridge's most famous son, and I used to coach Dan when he was a kid at rugby, and he actually worked for me on my farm for a little bit when he left school.
So you reckon you're probably the reason that Dan Carter,
I do claim that. I was disappointed that that probably wasn't confirmed in his book, but yeah. Hi, I'm Mark Patterson, proud New Zealand First MP and member of the Coalition Government. Well, farmers have got a lot of time to think. They're out on their farms a lot, so they have a pretty well developed sense of what's right and what's wrong with New Zealand. They're a pretty tough crowd sometimes politically because of that. The other thing is it's got a culture, there's a community aspect which I don't think you get in the big cities, so you have a different lens on life. I think you're looking at things more collectively than necessarily as an individual. Lawrence, where I live, it is an idyllic little town. It's got a real sense of community, it's got a lot of history there. Everyone looks out for their wider community, and I think that's something that, unless you're living in that environment, you don't quite understand how enriching that is. I'm a bit of an economic nationalist. I think back in the day I got involved with New Zealand First. They were in the fight against Silverfern Farms Meat Company going into part Chinese ownership, and that opened my eyes to a lot of the other positions New Zealand First had taken. I thought, well, if I'm going to be politically active, let's be involved with the party whose values align with mine. I've got some specific goals around mental health, around wool. It's a magnificent product, certainly sustainable, incredible installation, health properties, warmth, that sort of thing. The industry's in a dire state, so we've got to help to pick that up. There's a lot of opportunity out there, there's a lot of swing back to natural fibres. Where the government can help, get in behind some industry initiatives to really lift that, because it's important to the overall profitability of the sheep and beef sector. If we get this right, it could be a really good turnaround story, but there is some work to do. We will champion our farmers and growers, we will respect our farmers and growers, and we will see them as the solution and not the problem. In terms of cyclone recovery and making sure those communities aren't left behind has been a real focus for me coming in, because I'm conscious that when the news cycle's there's a lot of action, and once they go and everyone's life moves on, those communities, as I've found out on the ground, are still really struggling with their infrastructure and just the psychology of rebuilding, so it's important to us to send a signal that we haven't forgotten them. We cannot just leave them hanging, and we won't. I think it's really important to listen to people. I think that's something I've worked pretty hard at, because everyone's got something they want to tell you. You might not always agree with them, but I think it's really important people are heard, and I think that's something that I do work hard to provide.